shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the Konoha route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Alrighty everybody, welcome back to the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua as always, and I'm your Konoha Companion. And on this episode we're going to be reviewing episode 46 of Naruto entitled BYAKUGON BATTLE, HINATA GROWS BOLD. And before we dive too far off into that, I want to just thank everybody for tuning in. We've had some really big things happening at Monkey Mouse Studios here as of recent. If you're not familiar, go subscribe to the Monkey Mouth YouTube channel. We've got all kinds of dope content over there that I think you might like, beyond just the Naruto podcast. I don't know where you're listening. It might be on any of the major platforms, but we really like for you to subscribe on the YouTube channel. That's where everything lives. You can see all the other cool content that we're doing, keep up with the other creative projects that I'm a part of, and we're just really proud of what we're doing over here. It's me and my partner, my business partner Elias, who I don't think you've ever seen on this podcast. It's just me doing solo stuff. So there's actually a whole other head to Monkey Mouse Studios that where we produce this at, and we've turned a corner recently where people are actually starting to reach out to us about being on the podcast instead of us having to constantly reach out and find people. So just a lot of good things are happening over here, and I wanted to share that with y'all, and I hope that things are going good on y'all's end. Love and care about everybody who's tuning in, really everybody everywhere, right? But particularly I'm speaking to you guys, right, who can see me right now. So it's all unconditional love, dog, on some Jiraiya shit. But let's go over what happened on the previous episode really quickly so that we can all be more or less on the same page. So it started off where Naruto had gotten up from getting knocked down, and he's telling Kiba he's going to be Hokage, which causes Kiba to mock him, and then Kiba says that he's going to be Hokage. It shows through a flashback where Kiba used to pick on Naruto in school, particularly during the clone incident or the transformation jutsu incident where he couldn't turn into Lord Third effectively. Kiba was basically leading the charge of people laughing at him. Naruto doubled down at this point, claiming that he's the top dog and Kiba's going to have to put off his dream of becoming Hokage. Kiba and a transformed Akamaru, right? Remember how his jutsu works. He basically transforms into a more animalistic form, and then he has his dog Akamaru turn into a clone, or rather transform into him in the same state, right? So you have basically two Kibas running around that are in this buffed form, right? And they both come charging forward and hit Naruto with the Fang over Fang again, right? That was his ultimate taijutsu, and it seems like that's the bottom of the well. He keeps hitting him with the same thing. He uses the smoke bombs and Fang over Fang again. He then uses the smoke bombs and Fang over Fang attack again. So yeah, I think he's definitely at the bottom of his well of tricks at this point. Naruto at this point, while he's in the smoke, transforms into Kiba in the the man beast form, and it makes it so that Kiba is going to have a hard time telling who is Akamaru and who is Naruto. Kiba can smell the difference and punches Naruto, though, and Kurenai reveals in a thought to herself that Kiba can smell 1,000 times stronger than the average person whenever he concentrates his chakra on doing so. So that's neato. And so he was ultimately able to smell the difference between Naruto and Akamaru, even though they looked the exact same. Now, once Kiba hits Naruto, Naruto basically pulls a quick move and transforms into Akamaru, making it seem like he had hit Akamaru, causing Akamaru to lose control of the jutsu and transform back into his normal self, right? Which makes Kiba doubt his nose, and he goes and actually hits the real Akamaru. And the real Akamaru, of course, loses control of the jutsu and transforms back into his regular self. At this point, Kiba is confused and shocked, and Naruto behind him transforms back into his normal self and jumps in and hits him with the dab kick. And he dab kicks him to the face, and it knocks him down. And at that point, Naruto paraphrases Kakashi on ninja needing to be careful about when they show their jutsu to their opponents, because their opponents can ultimately use the strengths of that jutsu against you. And that's exactly what Naruto just did. At this point, Naruto promises to flex a new super secret killer move. Kiba calls it a bluff and comes charging forward, throwing shuriken that Naruto is forced to dodge. As Naruto lands from dodging the shuriken, Kiba hits him with a beast mimicry all fours jutsu, and then punches him to the ground. Naruto stands up yet again, and Kiba charges him, knocking him to the ground again, right? This is, I don't know how many times he's knocked Naruto down at this point, but it's been a common theme. And Naruto even notes that Kiba's just too fast to keep up with. Naruto stands up, and Kiba charges him again, but this time as Kiba slices him, Naruto grabs him and like judo throws him, and at this point Kiba charges again, but Naruto dodges, and then Kiba catches him on the next attack, which knocks him to the ground, but Naruto again refuses to stay down, and he gets up, but this time he's like all bloody, right? He's clearly getting his ass super kicked. Naruto promises to unleash his new technique, and Kiba charges, and he pulls a fast one and circles around to Naruto's back and runs straight into a fart, which stops him dead in his tracks. And this is just funny as hell, dude. His sense of smell is 1,000 times stronger, and he ran into a fart, and he just couldn't handle it. Naruto at this point promises to unleash his new technique. Oh, I just read that. He circles around and runs into the fart. Naruto busts out the Shadow Clone Jutsu and circles Kiba, ready to jump his ass, and hits him with the Uzumaki Barrage TKO finish, which is basically his spin on the Lion's Barrage, which is Sasuke's spin on the primary Lotus of Rock Lee's. So there's like a clear line of the evolution of these moves where these Genin are learning from one another, which is cool. Everybody's shocked. It's a big upset. Naruto can feel he's getting stronger, and Hinata gives Naruto some healing ointment with the help of Kurenai. Shout out Kurenai for the assist. And Neji's being weird towards Hinata. He's like looking at her and having weird thoughts about her, and the episode ends, right? So this episode starts, it's again a little ways back to the point where Naruto had absorbed the blow from Kiba and did the judo throw and is demanding where he's going to be Hokage. It shows him landing the Uzumaki Barrage and getting the TKO finish over Kiba. Naruto's declared the winner. He can feel he's getting stronger. Everybody's shocked by the upset victory. And it shows Hinata being pumped for Naruto's victory, and at this point the title slide comes in and Naruto reads, "BYAKUGON Battle, Hinata Grows Bold." It shows Naruto adding some ointment to one of his wounds, and it steams up and heals really rapidly. He's shocked by this and tries to offer some to Sakura, thinking that it's the ointment that's effectively caused this rapid healing. Kakashi, seeing this, thinks to himself that only Naruto's wounds will heal that fast, and it's because of the Nine Tails chakra energy riding inside of him. Hinata tries to give Kiba some ointment, but as he's being carted off by the medical team, And he laughs at her, telling her that she needs to focus on herself, right? There's only 6 people left that she could potentially be 5 that she could be fighting, 6 including her. And they're effectively all killers, right? There's Gaara, there's Neji. Particularly those 2 are the ones that he feels like she needs to watch out for. And even goes so far as to tell her that if she has to fight either of those 2, for her to go ahead and proactively withdraw because they will destroy her and that they are ruthless. They, at this point, like literally while they're speaking about this, announce the next match, and it's, of course, Neji versus Hinata. And oh shit, we're finally going to get to see Neji in action. They've been hyping this fool up so much. Every time they talk about him, he's like the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Freaking Guinean, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see him finally whoop some ass. They square off, and Neji tells her he'd never imagined he'd have to fight her, and Hinata expresses she feels the same way and refers to him as brother, which is like a big reveal, right? They're both Hyuga, their family. Kakashi reveals, however, though, that they're not necessarily brother and sister, they're just both Hyuga. And their Hyugas are one of the oldest and most honorable clans in the Leaf, and that they aren't actually brother and sister, they're more like cousins, and likens their relationship to the way that the trunk of a tree is related to the branch of a tree. Rock Lee goes on to explain that Hinata is a member of the clan's main household, who are all direct descendants of the head of the clan, and Neji's family is a side branch of the clan, right, where they aren't descendants of the head of the clan. He goes on to say there's been some bad blood between the branches of the clan, and explains that the first generation of Hyuga established rules and decrees that favored the main household, rules that were later broken by branches of the clan, and that this has been the source of the friction in the clan, right? Obviously, branches of the clan broke the rules established by the main household, but also I think it's fair to say that if they're putting in rules that are being broken, they're not necessarily good rules, right? So there's probably realistically some blame back and forth, but it hasn't really been defined at this point. We just know that members of the branch families broke the rules of the main household's set of rules, and that's at this point creating some friction within the clan. Sakura likens this match to a family feud. Hayate tells them to begin when ready. Neji immediately recommends that Hinata withdraw, and basically goes on to tell her that he knows that she was never meant to be a ninja. He goes on to say that she's too kind, she's gentle, she seeks harmony and avoids conflict, easily swayed by others, no confidence, feels lesser than everyone else, should have stayed a Guinean, and is only here for her teammates' sake. She at this point demands that she did it to see if she could change and that he's wrong. Kurenai, seeing Hinata kind of stand up for herself, gives her a flashback to where old man Hyuga, Hayashi, is telling a new character, Hanabi, to stand up. At this point, we don't know who Hanabi is, but it's Hinata's younger sister. And I only tell you that now because they're going to reveal that in the next couple, y'all saw this episode. Kurenai agrees to take Hinata under her wing, but questions if this is what he really wants. To take his firstborn and rightful heir and make her live the life of a Guinean, a dangerous one that could lead to her getting it cut short. Hayashi doesn't give a fuck and tells Kurenai to do whatevs because Hinata is of less worth than her sister, who's 5 years her junior. Right, so basically, she isn't as good a fighter as her younger sister, and her younger sister's 5 years younger. What the fuck, do we need Hinata for at all? And basically, yeah, it goes on to say that the Hyuga clan has no use for an heir like that. He then dismisses Kurenai, who turns to leave, and it's revealed that Hinata was just around the corner hearing all of that, right? Obviously, that's going to be just crush anybody, and she's a young girl, so that's going to be hard. Really, really hard. Neji mocks her for trying to change and goes on to say that people can't change and a failure will always be a failure. And this is clearly starting to get under the skin of Naruto. He's really not feeling this. Neji goes on to explain that people are judged in this world based on what they can't change, and that they've got to deal with it, just like how he has to deal with him being from a lesser branch from their household and Hinata being a member of the clan's elite. Neji says he can see the truth with his Byakugan, and he can see that she wants to run. But of course, Hinata denies this. Sakura asks kind of the group, right? There's a bunch of things like her and Kakashi and Rock Lee and a few other people who are Naruto, of course, who are standing around watching the fights in the stands together. And she asks kind of to the group what the Byakugan is, and Kakashi explains that it's the Kekkei Genkai, or bloodline trait of the Hyuga clan. Remember, Kekkei Genkais are basically hereditary badassery that ninjas have, right? The shadow, I believe the shadow stuff that Shikamaru uses is a Kekkei Genkai, but I might be mistaken. But certainly the crystal ice mirrors that Haku used in the first arc, the Land of Waves arc, him and Zabuza, that's definitely a Kekkei Genkai. The Sharingan is definitely a Kekkei Genkai, even though Kakashi has one and he's not a Uchiha. So that's still, there's some weirdness with it. There's some weirdness with the stuff, right? But the point is that it's a hereditary thing that they're getting. And that the Byakugan is actually the progenitor of the Sharingan. The Sharingan was derived from the Byakugan some time ago. And that in terms of sheer power and insight, the Byakugan is actually the more powerful of the two. At this point, Neji locks his Byakugan on Hinata, and Hinata is clearly uncomfortable, terrified, you know. Neji announces that his eyes cannot be deceived. He tells Hinata that a moment ago he saw her overt her gaze up and to the left, and that in that moment he could see that she was thinking of her bitter past. He then said that he saw her gaze drift to the lower right, and that this mere flicker of the eye revealed to him all of her mental and physical suffering. He then goes on to tell her that she's seeing herself and wondering if she's prepared. She's seeing the end of the fight, and that she sees herself losing, at this, which causes Hinata to gasp. Right, he's on to something. Neji then points out the way that she's holding her arms means that she's trying to build a wall between them to keep him at bay, to keep him from like digging into the deepest recesses of her brain type shit. He points out how her putting her finger to her lip is a desperate and futile attempt to control her rising panic. And he tells her that she is what she is and she already knows it. And finally, Naruto has had enough, who yells out and criticizes Neji and then beckons for Hinata to step up and show Neji he's wrong and to do something. Hinata is clearly, you know, this is her bae, right? Her sweet Naruto, and he's over here cheering for her. So if she's going to have like the Super Saiyan energy, you know what I'm saying? And Hinata thinks that Naruto is right and thanks him in her mind. Neji at this point notices that the look in Hinata's eye has distinctly changed. He again tries to coax her into forfeiting, but at this point Hinata flashes back to a bunch of times that Naruto has inspired her, and she locks her Byakugan on Neji, takes a fighting stance, and demands that he defend himself. Neji takes the same fighting stance, and at this point Rock Lee points this out and refers to it as the Hyuga style of taijutsu, and goes on to say that it's the most effective form of taijutsu to come out of the leaf, and that Neji is likely the strongest genin the leaf has ever produced. So you've got someone who's being considered by his peers likely to be the strongest genin the leaf has ever produced, and he's wielding the most effective form of taijutsu that the leaf has ever produced. So it's a lethal combo. Like, on top of him being a super capable ninja, he's also super well equipped in terms of the way he's going to fight. So, you've got this fight between two Hyugas, but one of them isn't as strong as her younger sister, who's 5 years younger than her, and one of them's considered the strongest genin ever. So it seems like not necessarily the fairest matchup. Maybe you can see where Kiba was coming from at this point. They both charge each other, and they start throwing tons of these open-palmed, chakra-infused strikes at one another, but both of them are dodging and blocking super effectively. Hinata winds up for a big strike and almost catches Neji, maybe even grazed his jacket, like a glancing blow at best. But Rock Lee goes on to explain that even a glancing blow from a Hyuga using this taijutsu style can be more than enough, and that's what makes them so formidable. Guy Sensei at this point interjects and explains it's a different type of taijutsu than what him and Lee use, right? Him and Lee focus on dealing devastating blows that crush and destroy, physical pain, breaking your bones, crushing your face type shit. Whereas the Hyuga attack internal organs through what they call the chakra network. And the chakra network is the network through which all of their opponents and there's everyone has a chakra network that all of their chakra flows through. And so it's a little more subtle, but and it's maybe not as much fun to watch, but the effects are devastating. Kakashi adds that it's so effective because there's no way to build up constitution of your internal organs. We're all soft on the inside. Even the toughest ninja's vulnerable. Hinata and Neji go back to fighting, right? They kind of had a break after Hinata almost hit him with the big strike, but now they're back at it, doing the same thing, throwing big strikes, dodging, blocking, neither of them really getting anywhere, but they're both throwing the fuck out of them hands. Naruto asks what the chakra network is, which, of course, Sakura mocks him for being a dum-dum. Rock Lee goes on to explain that it's the complex system of circulatory canals that allow for the flow of chakra through the body, similar to the vascular system. Think vascular system, but it moves chakra instead of blood. He also explains that the chakra network is woven around our organs so that when the chakra network is attacked, it can lead to damage on the organs that the network is attached to. Naruto asks how Rock Lee got so smart, and Sakura punches him, questioning how he ever became a genin in the first place, right? It's not that Rock Lee's smart, it's that you're a dum-dum. At this point, Guy Sensei can see that his pupil Lee is a little worked up and thinks that it must be because he's watching his oldest competitor and rival, Neji, compete. Right, Neji is like that dude for Rock Lee. He's always trying to chase him down. Kind of the relationship that Naruto and Sasuke have, Neji and Rock Lee have, if that makes sense. Tenten's kind of their Sakura. At this point, Sakura asks how they can hit the chakra network whenever the chakra network is invisible to the naked eye. And Kakashi explains that they can hit the chakra network because their Byakugan enables them to see the chakra, enables them to see and target the chakra network. He then also explains that when they open palm you, as they open palm you, they release a burst of chakra, which disrupts the flow of chakra through the chakra network wherever they hit you. As he says this, it appears as though they hit each other, right? They both go in it. You can see they stop fighting, and there's this really tense pause, and you don't know if, only one has hit the other. If that's the case, which one did hit the other, if they both hit each other, right? They use slick angles. And in this moment, it shows one of them's heart like having a palpitation and having a real hard time. And in this moment, the episode ends. And this episode had a lot of information, right? This was our first real introduction to, excuse me, it was our first real introduction to the Hyuga clan. Granted, we've seen these characters, but we haven't really gotten a solid taste of their skills. We hadn't really gotten a solid taste of their Kekkei Genkai, the Byakugan. We hadn't really gotten to see them fight, really. And so now we're going to see two of them do it at the same time. And so, before I just devolve off into rambling about nothing, I do have some final thoughts that I kind of wrote down here, and I'm going to go through them. So apparently, this is something to remember. The Sharingan came from the Byakugan, and the Byakugan is better in terms of sheer power and insight, according to Kakashi, right? So that's just, if you see someone with a Byakugan versus someone with a Sharingan go to fight, remember how these scale according to Kakashi Sensei. Kakashi Sensei has a Sharingan, so he would know. Man, Neji was being a dick. He was being so mean. But, it may have been an honest attempt at being merciful as well, right? Let's face it, Hinata is literally not even as strong as her younger sister, who's 5 years younger than her. And Neji is being regarded by his peers as potentially the strongest Genin the Leaf has ever produced, right? And they are family, and so even though there is admittedly, at least per Rock Lee, bad blood between the family, we don't know if there's necessarily real bad blood between these two, right? And so maybe he was just trying to get her to bow out so that he could avoid really hurting her. Or maybe he was really enjoying hurting her, and he was seasoning her up, hurting her psychologically before he hurt her physically. We don't really know Neji well enough at this point to know what his intentions were. I know that it wasn't a particularly polite way to behave towards a family member, towards someone who refers to you as brother, right? That's rough stuff. So he was being very mean. Dumbass Hyuga family tree, main tree, side branch concept bullshit. I don't know. I feel like virtue should speak for itself, not prior arrangements from decades ago. I don't feel like what was agreed upon by the last generation should dictate how the current generation acts whenever the virtue of their actions and their strength should speak for itself. I just can't believe all the things that Neji was saying to Hinata. I also can't believe that Hinata's dad did her the way that he did her, sending her off to be a Genin so that he could focus on her younger sister, Hinabi, all because Hinabi was a better fighter. Like whenever they were trying to groom Hinata to be the head of the household, they were having to, they're training her, and they can see that her younger sister is stronger than her, even though she's 5 years younger. And so I guess they're ruthless like that. They don't give a fuck. They're like, man, your little sister can beat your ass, so she's head of the household now, bitch. Get on with it. Yeah, rough stuff. But it's Ninja World, dog. Like it's cutthroat out here for sure. People really be dying. So, you can't be having that weak shit run your clan. But damn, I like Hinata. Shit, mean. I can't believe everything that Neji could see when he was using his Byakugan. He could see into Hinata's psyche. Either that or he just knows her really well and was playing mind games. But at this point, you got to take them at their word, right? And attribute his ability to cut her psychologically and see literally what was going on in her mind to the Byakugan, the way that he attributed it to it. Thank goodness for Naruto cheering for and inspiring Hinata to fight. It was not looking good before that. Naruto's real one. Like, Naruto's a real one. Go him for cheering on Hinata. This fool Neji's been so hyped up to us. I mean, at every turn they've ever talked about him, he's like, myth. Rock Lee, literally, this episode referred to him as probably the strongest genin that the Leaf Village has ever produced. Right? He's rocking the Byakugan, which is the progenitor of the Sharingan, which is stronger in terms of sheer power and insight. Right? So he's the strongest genin the village has ever produced, rocking the strongest visual prowess jutsu, the strongest Dao jutsu available, rocking the strongest taijutsu available. I mean, damn, it's like all the stats are at 99, you know what I'm saying? So, it's been nothing but hype, like real hype on Neji up until this point. But Hinata's hanging in there, right? I mean, she's weaker than her younger sister, in there against the strongest genin in Leaf history, and she's holding her own, right? They explained in this episode the chakra network, which is basically the mechanism through which chakra is moved around the body. Think circulatory system, but for chakra instead. It's basically that simple. And the Hyugas, again, can hit you in the chakra network at particular points in the chakra network that are vital, because they can see those points with their Byakugan. And it's going to be interesting to see who landed the blow, or if they both landed the blow, if it's going to be a draw, or if this one shot is going to be what actually determines who the winner is, like if this is a knockout blow. And yeah, there's just obviously a lot on the horizon. I believe this is the 8th fight of the Chunin exams. So there's only 2 more fights to go. There's Rock Lee and Gaara both need to fight. Those guys are both still out there. I can't remember who else is still out there. I know those are like the big 2, right? Those are the guys who we're seeing the most of on screen out of everybody who's left. Yeah, so we're going to see. But either way, I could ramble for days about this. I've gotten through my entire list of final thoughts. We've reviewed the entire episode. We've talked about what happened on the previous episode. I've bullshitted about what's going on at Monkey Mouse Studios. I feel as though I've taken up enough of you guys this time. It's all love. I always appreciate everybody for tuning in. You guys go like, subscribe, engage online. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you engage, it feeds us to the algorithm and makes it so that more people are going to find us. So any engagement on anything that we're doing is always highly appreciated on any of the platforms: Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok with this one, but Monkey Mouth is on TikTok. The big one for me is the YouTube channel. That's the one that I'm proud of. That's the Nexus hub. There's also monkeymousestudios.com. You can go to monkeymousestudios.com and check out everything we have going on there. So, yeah. Again, thanks everybody so much for the support. Love you all, guys. Unconditional love. Peace. Stays in. Check you next time.
Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth. him out.